Welcome back, everyone, to Mindful Leadership Beyond Borders. I'm Betska, the Guru Coach, together with Raj and our esteemed guest, Mr. Kanwaldeep Singh. And Raj just had a beautiful question he would like to ask us, I guess all three of us, for discussion, but we'd love to hear from Kanwaldeep first, is the children. A lot of children on this planet are filled with fear when you think about the wars in the Middle East and, oh my gosh, other places, the disruptions we have, political disruptions and so on. And what do you recommend, Kanwaldeep, for children in terms of a spiritual practice? What does Sikhism teach for children? What do you think?
So, one of the things definitely is that the Sikh scripture or the Guru Vani, as Raj was mentioning, the sheer vibration of that Guru Vani,
Yeah.
the power of those words.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you understand the meaning of those words in depth, that is transformative. But even if you don't, the sheer impact of those words, because they are divine revelation, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So having exposure to that sort of music, to that sort of rendition of the divine, is something that will uplift children for sure. The other dimension, Betska and Raj, is of service. Sikhism has, hugely recommends service. So, serving the devotee, serving society.
Oh, yeah.
Serving at the Gurudwara, for example, at the Sikh temple. These are all ways of shedding the ego, reducing the ego, and getting closer to that divine experience. And a lot of young people can just do it because they are energetic, they are strong, they are enthusiastic, so they enjoy the service or the seva part of it as much as they do the Simran, which is the meditation part of it.
When our daughter Tanya was, she graduated from a university in Eastern Canada, and I was on my 8th trip to India, and I said, Tanya, why don't you come with me? Let's celebrate your graduation from university. So she came, and one of the trips we took was to the Golden Temple. And wow, what a treat that was. We were tired because, like 25 hours of travel or something, but we had prepared. We put our scarves over our head and went to, I woke her up at 2:30 in the morning because we had to go to the Golden Temple, and so beautiful at night. And we walked down the path into the temple, and we sat there and we listened to the music and the chanting. And it was very holy. And you could feel, for those who are not familiar with Sikhism, there were 10 gurus over the centuries, and you could feel all 10 of them in that room that day. The vibration, the energy. And so what Kanwaldeep is saying, yes, if you open up the scripture, whether it's from Sikhism or the Bible or, Muslim, all the religions have beautiful scripture, and some made for children, the interpretation and so on. So to start our children off early and maybe to expose them to a safe meditation practice as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I know in our home, we play very high frequency music and words 24/7. It's to keep it elevated, and that's for safety and protection as well. So what do you think, Raj? What else could we do for children? Anything else you could add to this?
I have learned from my parents. They do every day. They woke up 4 o'clock in the morning, and at 5 o'clock they started meditation. So I learned from my parents. meditation is the actually right way to remove the fear, any kind of fear from our life. But when I was so young, so I didn't know the power of meditation. I realized, oh, this is the boring things.
Of course, yeah.
Although I don't go anywhere, I do meditation or only in home, but my parents very strict for this practice morning and night. So
Mm.
initial days I didn't like, but when I realized my life, my maturity and my that time situation, then I realized the power of meditation.
So your master Shumataji, did she teach children how to meditate? Like
Yeah.
how old, at what age can you learn how to meditate?
Oh, 2 year children also, 3 year children also, because reason behind India, when like mom went Gurdwara, temple, anywhere, the children is always there with mom. So
Yeah.
they like if I'm going meditation practice to my Sahaj Yoga center, and like I have two kids as a father, for example, I have one. So I always keep my kids. So they automatically learn here in India.
Okay, okay.
So they
Yeah.
you didn't require to guide. They automatically learn. This is the way
Yeah. Yeah,
here.
through your actions, through the
Yes.
parents' or
Oh,
actions and service and
Yeah.
yeah. And as Kanwaldeep was saying, that service, I remember seeing at the
Yeah.
Golden Temple and other temples in India
Right.
where the meals, thousands of meals were served every day free of
Hmm.
cost. So anybody who was hungry could go and have a meal. I just thought, wow, that is amazing.
And
And it happens here in Canada too at the Sikh temples in Vancouver, British Columbia, for example. They do the same thing.
yeah, so many Indian organization like they are organizing free food in Oxford, London, different places, free
Yep,
of
yep.
cost, and they are providing food for homeless people also in UK, US,
Yeah.
so many ways. And
Yes.
The COVID time, they are giving so big way in Canada, US, and UK,
Yeah.
free
Mm.
service,
Wow.
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 lunch and
So good.
dinner.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And
So go ahead, Kanwaldeep. You want to say
just
something?
to add, the doing it without discrimination. I mean, without choosing
Yeah.
one over the other and just right across the board. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That is a beautiful comment. Thank you. So, um, what draws you to Sikhism, Kanwaldeep? Tell us what it means to you. You're wearing the turban, you grow your hair. Those are physical things, which might also be important for you. But in general, what draws you to Sikhism? Why is it important to you?
Betska, as Raj was mentioning, that one grows up with a certain environment
Mm.
in, especially in Indian households and in Sikh households. But, in adulthood and later, the things that struck me about Sikhism were the following. One, the enormous treasure of martyrdom that is there in this faith.
Oh, ah,
The gurus, starting with the gurus who chose to give up their lives to
yeah,
protect truth, uh,
yeah.
to
Wow.
protect the right of other faiths, not just their own faith, but people of other faiths to profess their faith. And for that, they were willing to give up their own life, to sacrifice. So the whole saga of martyrdom, sacrifice, courage, that modeling of those behaviors was always something that struck me. So that was one. On a practical note, I think Sikhism integrates very well with life because in the Indian tradition and elsewhere, we generally believe that being religious or spiritual would mean, moving away from family duties, moving away from social duties, and, moving being more of a hermit than someone who's integrated in the mainstream of life. Now, Sikhism gives us a way to be integrated in the mainstream of life and yet, in that sense, be detached and pursue the divine. So it's a practical, it's a very realistic, practical, natural way of moving the spiritual and the material together in balance, in harmony. That is something that attracted me. And then there is a very clear practice to follow, uh, which is in that sense, you don't really need another person to follow that practice. The practice has been laid down, and as long as you're doing that practice and following a certain lifestyle, a certain approach, standing by truth, service, and so on, all of which is prescribed, you're pretty much on your path. So, yeah, so I felt that, these were things that really attracted me. And when I pursued the practice, I could, of course, see results. As Raj mentioned, the sense of feeling protected or the sense of freedom from fear. So that was evidence for me that this is something that I want to hold on to.
Yeah, wow. And because you're a full-time coach, executive coach, life coach, business coach, I'm sure. So what's the benefit? How does Sikhism benefit the coaching profession? I think, wow, being a coach myself, I can really appreciate the question and look forward to your answer. So how does Sikhism benefit the coaching profession in general?
It's interesting, Betska, that Sikhism says that the path to God, the path to the divine, is possible only with the help of a guru.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's the individual cannot by themselves shed the ego, cleanse themselves, have the purity to merge with the divine. They need the assistance, the guidance, the support of a guru. So somewhere there is some sort of a parallel between what a coach does and what is referred to as the guru in Sikh scripture. So that's one. But again, at a practical level, what are we looking in an excellent coach? We're looking for presence in an excellent coach. We are looking for selflessness. We're looking for someone who's providing that open space to the client. And we are looking for empathy, compassion. And when we are on the path of Sikhism, when we do the practice, when we do the chanting, when we do the scripture, that's exactly what we are doing. We are cleansing ourselves and therefore making ourselves available more and more to the client. And we're offering our cravings, we are offering our wanting to make a difference to the client. We are letting go of all of that. And yes, and the scripture is what assists us in getting to that space. So, as Raj mentioned earlier, the feeling that I am completely protected. It is the divine is always with me, and whatever happens is for the good. There is a divine will. If as coaches we can internalize that, we have that presence that coaching requires of us. Yeah.
Totally true. I was thinking as you were speaking at when I'm coaching my clients, I feel it's not me who is coaching them.
Correct.
It is the divine power working through me. So sometimes the questions that come out of my mouth, I go, wow, where did that come from? And I think a spiritual practice really helps propel our clients forward faster because we're asking the right questions at the right time, and more
Correct.
deeper questions, more profound. And so that's been my experience, and maybe a big reason why, my clients, even if they're deeply schizophrenic, they come out of that disease, they, or addictions or whatever, because I'm taking them to places in their own divinity that their divinity is going to help them heal whatever it is, or maybe an executive having trouble with his or her employees,
Right.
doesn't know what to do. There's so many challenges in corporate and government. So that's been my finding, and I'm very grateful to that. Frankly, I don't know how coaches can do a good job without having a spiritual practice. How can they? So we encourage it at our school, to find some kind of a practice that, even if it's half an hour a day, just do it. Really connect, but make sure it's a safe practice. It sounds to me like Sikhism is very safe. Yeah, cool. All right, so let's take another pause, and we're going to come back, folks, because we want to talk about the role that Sikhism can play in creating more enlightened leaders. Kanwaldeep is an executive coach. He's got, I'm sure, a ton to say about this, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with part 3.